Well, hello, beautiful people. It's me, Sam, from your friendly neighborhood Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. And in honor of Transformers Rise of the Beast, I wanted to give you my rankings of the Transformers movies from my least favorite to my absolute favorite. Now, I won't be including the animated movie, mainly because I didn't get a chance to rewatch it. I had watched it like many years ago when I was a kid. I remember liking it, but I just didn't think it would be fair for me to include it since I hadn't rewatched it recently. So, without further ado, I'm gonna get into my least favorite. At the number 7 spot is Transformers: The Last Knight. This is the last movie that Michael Bay directed, and my God, it is a nearly 2.5 hour bore fest. This movie is so dull, so bad. What could go wrong in a blockbuster? This movie achieves it. This movie is everything that's wrong with Hollywood when people complain about big budget blockbuster movies. This is the worst one. This is terrible. At my number 6 spot is the one that came in right before The Last Knight, Age of Extinction. This movie is so long. It's the longest in the series. 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's everything I said about The Last Knight, copy and paste it with Age of Extinction. The only thing I would say that kind of makes Age of Extinction just a tad bit better is that there are some moments with Mark Wahlberg and his daughter that I thought were heartwarming, and there are some decent action sequences. But besides that, I think this is not as bad as The Last Knight, but pretty damn bad. Yeah, I terrible movie, terrible movie. At my number 5 spot is the last movie that Shia LaBeouf starred in, Dark of the Moon, Transformers Dark of the Moon. Compared to Age of Extinction and The Last Knight, Dark of the Moon is a masterpiece. Say what you will about Dark of the Moon, but at least it had Shia LaBeouf and his wacky running around, his facial expressions, and there were some pretty cool action scenes. I'll give it that. But I wasn't a big fan of the love interest. I think her name, Rosie Huntington or something like that. Still not a good movie, but better than The Last Knight and Age of Extinction. But once again, not a good movie. Not good. At my number 4 spot, this one is going to be divisive. It's going to be where I feel like fans are going to be just in shock that I'm actually saying this. And that is Transformers 2, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Look, I know this movie is bad, but I remember when I watched it the first time, I was having a blast. I thought it was like wacky, goofy, hilarious, action-packed. And to this day, I think it has some of the best action scenes in a Transformers movie. I thought it was just a good time. This is my guilty pleasure, okay? If everyone's allowed at least one guilty pleasure, this is my guilty pleasure. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. It doesn't make it in my top 3, but it's right in the middle of the road. I don't think it's as bad as many say, but that's just my opinion. At my number 3, now I was having a hard time trying to figure out my number 3, my number 2, but at my number 3, I decided to go with Transformers Rise of the Beast. And the reason behind that is because I think that what they did well with Bumblebee and making such good human characters, they pretty much just transported it to Rise of the Beast. With Anthony Ramos and Dominic Fishback, they gave us some characters that had some life to them, not just running around, not just doing this and that. I thought there was just real humor, especially the little brother. Now, would I've liked to have seen more of the Beast Wars aspect? Yeah, I would have. And do I think that the first half is not as good as the second half? Yeah, I do. But I mean, in that second half, it really comes to life, and it gives us some of the best Transformers action that we've seen in the entire franchise in a very long time. Because once again, you had a lot of just stinkers with Transformers 3, Transformers 4, Transformers 5, and I think it was very wise to get away from the whole Michael Bayism, especially his humor, because there's a lot of humor here that is actually genuinely funny. And it's also irreverent, it's smart, irreverent humor. And I think if you handle it like that, I think it's great. And also, this movie is under 2 hours. So it just shows that these Transformers movies, they don't need to be 2.5 hour movies. They end up being sluggish. They even become like slogs. So yeah, I like this movie. I don't think it's great, but I like it. So yeah, Rise of the Beast, my number 3 pick. At my number two, it's the OG, at least to me, the 2007 Transformers. I think this movie was Michael Bay's best out of all the ones he made. I think he handled the humor. I think he handled the heart. He handled the characters. I think he handled the action perfectly. This is like one of those Saturday cartoons that you watch when you wake up and you're just excited. There's so much colors. This movie is amazing. And also, it introduced Megan Fox, which I remember at the time everyone was just in awe of her, and I remember like everyone relating to Shia LaBeouf's character. Especially because for me, his name was Sam, and my name is Sam. So I was just like, as a kid, I was just like so excited about that. This movie has still to this day some of the best action and humor to it that in any Transformers movie. So Transformers, the 2007 version, is my favorite, my second favorite of the series. And my number 1, it's the most critically acclaimed. I think it's like 91% critic rating. It's Bumblebee. I love this movie. This is the movie where I think they pretty much perfected the humor, the characters, the action. Everything was balanced so well. Now, is it a perfect movie in general? No, it has a lot of flaws. But in terms of a Transformers movie, I think it's a near perfect Transformers movie. There was just enough humor and heart in it while also giving us the action as well. And I love that. And I thought Haley Steinfeld's character was amazing. Easily one of, if not the best human character in the whole series. I love the whole John Hughes throwbacks and how this movie was pretty much a coming of age story. And her relationship with Bumblebee. It was a lot like E.T. I love that. So yeah, Bumblebee is my favorite, and it sucks. I'll go into it more in another video in terms of box office, how Rise of the Beast did compared to the other Transformers movies. But Transformers Bumblebee is my favorite. I think it's easily the best one, hands down. So just to go back to recap, my number 7, my least favorite, is Transformers The Last Knight. My number 6 is Transformers Age of Extinction. My number 5 is Transformers Dark of the Moon. My number 4 is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which is number 2. My number 3 is Transformers Rise of the Beast, the most recent one. My number 2 favorite is Transformers, the first one in 2007. And my favorite of the Transformers movies is Bumblebee. I don't know if you could tell, but it was pretty much going backwards from like number 5, number 4, number 3, and number 2. Yeah, so that's my list. Let me know what you think of my list. Let me know what your list is. And guys, thank you so much. And once again, take care out there, okay?